Ruth, good morning. The travelers and commuters can now feel the effects of the travel restrictions and the community quarantine here at the southern tip of the spear, the southernmost city in Metro Manila, Muntinlupa City. Now, we're here at the SLEX Susana Heights exit, and as you can see behind me, take a look. Passengers of different buses are being asked to step down for temperature and ID checks. There's also a buildup of vehicles entering Muntinlupa City. These measures, Ruth, are quite stricter than the ones implemented yesterday, because yesterday it's the police officers who come to the buses, check if they're practicing social distancing, and would scan the temperature of the driver, the conductor, and the passengers. Obviously today it's a different case, so we do advise those commuting to make adjustments to your travel plans, or if possible, leave your homes earlier. Now, police and the military are also keeping a tight watch here at the Susana Heights checkpoint. They are conducting, like I mentioned, ID verifications and the temperature checks. Ambulances are also standby to bring passengers or drivers who may exhibit coronavirus symptoms to the hospital. And like I mentioned, those who will be traveling to the north may have to make adjustments to their travel time as these measures are being put in place, and we can definitely feel its effects in terms of the traffic flow as well as our time for travel. Ruth?
Paolo, what brought about the changes? Kasi you were saying that yesterday, yung mga authorities yung umakyat sa bus and nag-inspect ng mga tao sa loob. Ano? Now you're saying na pinapababa na sila and iba na yung process. And then, how long does it take, for example, for one vehicle or one passenger na makadaan doon sa checkpoint or inspection?
Well, Ruth, we've yet to talk to the police officers na nagmamando dito sa checkpoint here in Susana Heights. But on a normal day, if these checkpoints aren't in place, you would be able to pass through this exit by around 5 or 10 minutes. But definitely today, we could expect around 10 to 20 minutes, especially for the buses, because they check the passengers and the driver's temperature one by one. For the cars, if you are passing by here by around, you should add a few more minutes to your travel time, because each passenger of the car, especially the drivers and those inside it, would have to be checked manually. Ruth?
Okay, Paolo, can you just give us an idea yung geographical makeup of Muntinlupa? How crucial is that, especially since yon one of the main entry points siya to Metro Manila?
Muntinlupa City, Ruth, is one of the southernmost cities in Metro Manila. We are bordered by two key provinces in Region 4A. That's Cavite to the east and Laguna to the south. So in the south part, the southern border of Muntinlupa is San Pedro, Laguna, which is also a key transport point. So if you do notice, most of the buses that are coming here are actually plying the Pasita to Navotas or Pasita to Quezon City routes. Whereas in the eastern part of Muntinlupa, we are bordered by Cavite. So you're talking about the Anghari, the Alabang-Zapote Road, which is also used as an alternative to the South Luzon Expressway, and the Alabang-Zapote Road leads directly to the Coastal Road, which is another gateway to Metro Manila. So you can just imagine how the checkpoints implemented in different parts of Muntinlupa, particularly this one, would have an effect on your travel as well as your commute. Ruth?
Okay, you were saying just how important that entry or exit point is also. Pero yun na nga, gusto ko rin itanong sa'yo, if ganyan kahaba yung inspections going into Metro Manila, paano naman yung mga palabas?
So far, Ruth, the checkpoints are heading out of Metro Manila, either northbound or southbound. It's a little bit more, the traffic is a little bit lesser at this time. Let's just show our viewers the current traffic situation at this part. So there is a lesser buildup of vehicles, obviously, but we can expect changes in the traffic situation as the day goes by. For most, or mid-morning usually, Ruth, nagkakaroon ng konting buildup of traffic here, especially dun sa checkpoints. And it's also important to point out, yesterday, Ruth, when we also covered here in the Susana Heights exit, the checkpoints are placed closer to each other. Now the checkpoint for those heading northbound is moved farther down the exit near the Susana Heights toll booth So definitely, we will see changes as the day goes by in terms of the traffic situation, in terms of the travel time of motorists and commuters here in Susana Heights.
Also, Paolo, I'm trying to look at the policemen behind you. No? Parang naka-long firearms ba sila dyan while they're manning the stations there? The checkpoints, I mean?
Yes, Ruth, some of them still are armed with assault rifles, to be precise. I asked yesterday Police Lieutenant General Guillermo Eleazar, the Deputy Chief of Operations of the Philippine National Police. He said that it is normal for police officers who are conducting checkpoints like these to have long firearms. I asked one of the officers also today, saying that they are currently deployed in an area where there is no police camp. But if we have the chance later, we'll probably clarify with the police officials why they are still employing long firearms to guard in checkpoints like these. But props, to be fair, also to the policemen who are conducting this checkpoint. They are trying to be as courteous as possible. They're practicing maximum tolerance towards the passengers and the drivers of the vehicles, and they promptly check the temperature and the IDs now of those who are driving and who are on board the different vehicles here at the Susana Heights checkpoint.
Paolo, I just want to know yung reaction naman ng mga tao dyan. I mean, are they cooperative naman? Wala namang any complaints?
So far, Ruth, we haven't heard any complaints from the drivers or the passengers. Yesterday, I talked to some of them. They're pretty much pleased with the measures that are being implemented here. The only concern that people are raising here, specifically the bus drivers, is the lower number of passengers that they could carry, because at this time of day, usually the buses are jam-packed, they're full, standing room only, if you could say, because I live quite near the area, so I experienced the commute rush here. But the bus drivers will definitely be affected in terms of how much passengers they could carry, because the transport department's guidelines only state around 25 people could board buses. That includes the drivers and the commuters. Ruth?
I think also some commuters have already been saying, kasi we also have some office mates trying to come in na kulang nga daw yung buses. Like you were saying, na the drivers are complaining, and at the same time, I think commuters also, ano, Paolo?
Yes, that's also an important thing to point out. I went by the Susana Heights bus station earlier this morning, and it's a very typical spot if you're heading north to Manila or to Quezon City. Normally, buses would come in at around 5 minutes or less. But this time around, people have been waiting for as long as 2 hours just to get to Manila. So you can probably imagine how much of a challenge these travel restrictions have in terms of commuting, in terms of mobility. And that's why we really advise those who live here in the south to really make adjustments to your travel plans, because not just, if it's not the checkpoints or the measures that would delay you or put you at a much later spot, rather, in terms of going to your place of work, it's the wait for the buses. And most of the time, Ruth, the buses that would pass by the Susana Heights exit, they're already loaded with passengers. That's according to the guidelines with the DOTR. And it's also important to notice that some of the buses here are also implementing social distancing protocols. They're really following it. Passengers are seated 1 seat apart, and some do not take more than 25 passengers. Ruth?
Paolo Barcleon there reporting from the checkpoint at the Susana Heights exit of the South Luzon Expressway.